Alright, today I'm getting started on a little subwoofer. This subwoofer's goal in life is basically to be better than the one that comes with the Bose Companion 5. Because, it's always fun to try and make a subwoofer that's better than a Bose subwoofer, or anything that's better than a Bose anything, because while their bill of materials is probably like $5 on anything they've ever made because they use really cheap parts, they do get a lot of bass out of small enclosures, it seems. So here's the driver. It's a Tang band 5 1/4. It's based on the neodymium subs that are really popular, but when China started buying up all the neodymium for their railways, everybody freaked out, so they offered ferrite versions, and I got this one pretty cheaply. There we go. Yeah, look at that. It's adorable. And over here we have an adorable amp. $25 watts. Look at how cute. Is any of this in focus? I don't know. Anyways, I've already designed the enclosure, so let's take a look at that. Here's my design for the sub. It might look familiar if you've ever seen a Companion 5 sub. The baffle will be about here. There we go, there's the baffle. It's 7 inches high. So I've just got the side panel hidden here. That port model is really ugly. It was just to make sure it fit. It's going to have a bend in it. Amp will go in the back. I've already roughly accounted for the space that the port and the woofer and the amp will take up in the cabinet. Alright, so here's the model of the enclosure. It's 580 inches cubed with tuning of 41. The reason the tuning is so weird is because I defined the length of the port, not the frequency it's tuned at. It's a lot easier to cut a 13-inch port than it is to hear 0.67 hertz difference. So there it is. Alright, I'm outside now. I'm going to start with my 7-inch cuts, which will be the top and bottom, as well as the sides, I believe, and the baffles. I want to do it without moving the fence, so they all come out exactly the same. Then I'll move to 6-inch cuts. Got my boom bag, battery powered. It'll have its own video. Gonna bring out an extension cord and get cutting. Here's the lumber. Basically a shelf, but at least it's plywood. Alright, so that was pretty simple. I just ran it through a few times and now I've got 7 pieces. Or, my bad, 5 pieces, 7 inches wide. 2 of them I'm going to cut down to 16 inches and those will be the sides. 2 of them I'm going to cut with the jigsaw so I get that funky radius. And the last one I can cut into 6-inch pieces this way. And then I've got the front and back baffles. And then I've got a little extra room to cut out pieces for the grill cloth. So this is going real quick. It's nice. Here's the front grill basically. These pieces are going to be cut with a radius that goes from that corner right there round to about the front and then back down over here. And it'll match the radius along the front of the cabinet. And then I'll wrap grill cloth around it and it'll look nice. All I gotta do now is cut the sides, which is 16 inches, and then I can move on. Alright, so I'm working on the front baffle, and this goofy little driver has a tiny mounting hole but a huge flange. So the flange itself is actually going to kind of spill out into the sides, which will come flush with the front panel, but it's not wider than 7 inches, so it's fine on the top where it comes to a kind of corner there. So next I'm going to drill a hole right about here, so that I'm actually going to go over the line, but this huge flange will cover it. Normally you want to be inside the line and then move the jigsaw out as you go around, but since the flange is so big I don't have to worry about that. One thing I am going to worry about though is making it so that it won't interfere with the screws, the mounting screws, whether I put them here like cardinal or here. So I'm going to put it kind of an eighth from the top, I guess. Alright, so this guide is locked in. I'm going to go ahead and cut it. I'm actually going to move the baffle because it's so tiny compared to this. It's like a glove. Alright, so here's the back panel. I'm thinking maybe I should have built it in from the outside, but whatever. The lines are ugly, but that's okay because I can use this fence for that too. So I'm just going to do holes in the corner and cut it out. There it is. And this is actually built into the box, it'll be better. It won't go past the actual sub. So now I'm going to do the radius on the front of the top and bottom. I drilled a hole that doesn't go nearly all the way through for the guide. And so from here to here it's 6 inches. So I'll have a 6-inch radius. I'll set up the guide on the jigsaw and then it'll just kind of go like that. And I've got both pieces here, so it should be exactly the same. That went better than expected. Alright, I traced this plus a 1/2 inch onto this, and I'm doing it manually this time. So that didn't go perfectly, but I think I can fix that with sander. Speaking of which, it is hardcore sanding time. All the rough edges need to come down. There we go. It's all the pieces sanded, except for the amp back plate. I left that downstairs. I can do that one by hand. Piece of cake. This, I sanded it, and I think I'm going to use some wood filler and just generally worry about this later. I kind of want to hear this thing. I don't think I'll be able to screw it together, but I'm going to start gluing. And then I have to put a porthole in the side of one of these, so it's getting there. This is going pretty quick. Back on the miter saw, I've marked off 13 inches, and I'm going to cut a section of port. You'll hear this thing tonight, probably. It's only like 4. Very exciting. That was a lot easier than doing metal. Now I've got it in there at a 45, 5 inches from this side, and so I can put it back together at a right angle. I taped it together, make sure it would fit, and it does. Hooray. Holding that in. And there we go, we got plenty of clearance. I was kind of sweating this one, but there it is. So I'm just going to sand this down and then glue it together with some epoxy. Got out a tripod. Two-part epoxy. 5-minute 2-part epoxy. Alright, now I'm drilling the hole for the port. Toasty. Alright, so I got that port hole in. And the port came out pretty well. I'm still going to go around and seal it better. But the epoxy's holding. I had an oh crap moment when I tried to put this in and it didn't fit because of the transformer. But then I realized I can just flip this whole thing over. There's no reason yet that it can't be like this. So now instead of being on the bottom left, the port's on the top right, and I'm building this from the top down, I guess. So I'm just gonna reinforce this port, sand everything more. Some of the panel fits are a little funky, so I have to trim stuff, whatever. But yeah. So now I have the port on a cylinder bore, just to hold on to it, and I'll kick this into low gear, the drill, and I can turn it slowly. Yeah. So as I put hot glue around the edge, I can just keep it spinning so it doesn't run down one side or the other. While I'm waiting on that hot glue gun to heat up, I'm gonna try and put some wood filler in here. There we go, and of course I'll sand that down later. So this is nice and airtight now. And this hole over here is sanded, so it's time to stick it in. Nice and flush. I know I'm gonna forget something before I put the bottom on, but whatever. There, little foam. Stuffing. Extending those leads. Here. kind of quickly set it up in mono. This is actually from a JVC TV, but it sounds pretty good. Pretty convincing low end. It's kind of just floating there though. Worst position ever for bass. We'll get it set up in a room or something to try it. So now it's time to clean up. I got these done. I've been cleaning and listening, and it really doesn't sound like a Bose subwoofer at all. Bose subwoofers is like, oh my god, I can't believe how loud that little subwoofer is. But when you really listen to it, the kick doesn't have that low thump that you kind of feel more than hear. It's all just kind of blasting a bunch of 80 hertz at you. This doesn't go very loud, but it sounds like a big subwoofer. And it's little. It's Huffman's Iron Law. They almost never build a tiny sub that goes low that you can buy in the department store, because it doesn't sound impressive at first. In the store, no one would buy this because it's not very loud and it's not very in your face. So, hope you enjoyed this video. In the next part, I'll be pulling out the amp and speaker and sanding the crap out of it and hitting it with some truck bed liner or something like that. Stay tuned like that.